Investigates uncovering new details about that deadly road rage incident in Valley View this past August.
The prosecutor's office has now decided not to press charges against the shooter. 19 investigator Mike Mason has more.
Prosecutors weighed the evidence and determined they could not prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the shooter in this case was not acting in self-defense. Body cam video shows police arresting the man they say fatally shot Christopher Andexler in Valley View this past August. Investigators say this incident of road rage happened on Brecksville Road. They determined Andexler was the aggressor, and now we've learned that after further review of the case, the Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office has decided not to pursue charges.
As prosecutors, we are bound by the laws that are passed.
We spoke with Assistant Cuyahoga County Prosecutor Sawah Hawadallah. He wouldn't discuss specific cases, but did explain how changes in state law now require them to prove someone did not act in self-defense. How difficult is it to prove that somebody isn't acting in self-defense?
The state of Ohio then has the burden of proof to disprove that the person wasn't acting in self-defense, that they did not fear great bodily harm or death.
In 2021, the Cuyahoga County Prosecutor established a self-defense committee which reviews evidence in cases that may involve self-defense.
If there are videos to watch, if there are statements to read or to review body cams.
Prosecutors must then decide whether the evidence is likely to lead to a conviction.
The same act, on one hand, could be a murder, sending a person to a prison for life, sort of a life sentence, or it could be justified under the law. There are some cases that we thought, well, maybe this wasn't really self-defense.
Since forming the Self-Defense Committee 3 years ago, it has reviewed over 400 cases. Nearly half of those were dismissed. We reached out to Andexler's wife and the man who shot him. Both refused to comment. Mike Mason, 19 News.